Joining us right now for the debate, Jim Messina. He served as campaign manager of former President Obama's re-election campaign. He's an informal advisor to Vice President Harris's campaign. Also, the Heritage Foundation's Stephen Moore is here. He's a senior economic advisor to former President Trump. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Okay. Shall we start with tariffs? Can we start with tariffs?
Sure.
I will go. Actually, Stephen, I'm going to go to you first. Because I would imagine that you don't like tariffs, actually, as a traditional conservative.
Yeah.
Yet you're supporting the president, former President Trump.
Yeah, Bill, because Biden and Harris, this is going to come as a surprise to, I think, a lot of your audience, but tariffs have been higher under Biden and Harris than they have under Trump. Did you know that? It's a matter of fact that tariff revenues have been higher. So if you're for free trade, you want to vote for Trump for sure. Look,
But he's planning on raising tariffs.
Look, and I'm not in favor of, you're right. There are issues I disagree with Trump on, and that's one of them. I don't think tariffs are the solution. I will say this, though, that Trump has used tariffs, I saw it in his first term, quite strategically as a kind of tool to get other companies to, or countries to do things that are in our interest. I saw that with respect to Mexico. I saw it with China. And Trump understands the idea of leverage, that the United States has leverage over every other country. And so a good example is when he used tariffs as a means to get the NATO countries to pay their dues. So sometimes when it comes to tariffs, his bite is worse than his bargain is worse than his bite.
So that's just a really dangerous way to go down this. And I hear this all the time. Oh, don't worry, it's just rhetoric. It's not really going to do it. Like, look at Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs compared both of the economic plans and said the Democrats' plan would increase the economy, Republicans would shrink.
Let me just stop you, though.
Yeah.
Because we had David Solomon on this network.
Yep.
And he said, go read the plan. He said that he believes that Vice President Harris's campaign is effectively mischaracterizing what that report actually says.
I've read the...
And, Jim, the criticism about, there'll never be unrealized gains, there'll never be capital. All those things you just said are what's applied to most Democrats that are a little bit worried about how far left Kamala Harris is.
By the way,
none of that
that's not to say I haven't quoted from the Goldman Sachs report either.
Correct.
Before.
I actually read it. And let's go back to tariffs for a second, because I think this is really important.
All right.
Donald Trump's tariffs are going to wreck the world economy. I have 16 presidents and prime ministers as my clients. All of them are saying, we're going back to tariffs. We're going to go jack the tariffs up all over the place. You know who's going to get hurt by that? The American worker. That's who's going to get hurt by that. So let's just be really clear about what tariffs really will do, to your point.
Let me ask you then on the unrealized gains piece of this.
Yep.
Do you think that's actually the answer to our tax problems in the United States?
No, I don't.
And don't you think it creates a whole number of other problems as a result?
Look, I live in Silicon Valley now. I think there's a whole bunch of questions about how you create jobs and who actually creates those jobs. I think it's a discussion we ought to have. There's another...
Because of fairness or because you need to raise money?
Because we need to raise money, because eventually we're going to have to fix this debt and deficit problem.
Right.
And so letting the Trump's tax cuts expire, having a real discussion bipartisanly about entitlements, about spending, is the only way we're actually going to go get this deficit and this debt down.
Okay, can I throw out a different question?
Sure.
Lena Khan,
as
a proxy sort of representation of the regulatory regime under Biden, does that remain in place in a Harris world?
I mean, I'm not Kamala Harris. I don't know the answer to that.
But how should the folks who are watching this broadcast think about that?
Look, I think the way they should think about that is that her term is going to be up, and that I don't think there will be any chance in a this close Senate that you will see people like her or Gary Gensler get confirmed.
Stephen,
so,
is there any
There's
way,
news for you.
Really? That is news for you.
Corporate tax rate that's too low. For me, and Tim, you probably have a heart attack, but I think corporations should be taxed at zero. You should get taxes elsewhere. We compete globally. What do they say? Corporations use roads and bridges too, but don't we want as much invested into innovation and whatever corporations do to generate the jobs in America, where those are the people that pay the taxes that support the government? Don't we want corporations to be as successful as possible?
So we don't really have to debate about like what Goldman Sachs says or these other people about what each candidate will do to the economy, because we know. We saw what happened when Trump was president. We have a 4-year record, and we have a 3.5-year record under Biden and Harris. We just did an analysis where we looked at the 20 most important economic measurements. Everything from small business conditions to the price of eggs and groceries, to the price of gasoline, to what happened to real incomes. And on 18 of those 20 variables, Trump's performance was superior to Biden and Harris's.
Right,
and so it's not even close. So that's why we want this debate over the next 6-7 weeks
to
be about the economy. Now, on your
but Jim, hold on.
18 out of the 20.
Well, Stephen, let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
But don't you think there was a uniquely weird situation
COVID.
Coming out of COVID?
Yes.
The supply chain issues,
Yeah,
everything else.
Of course.
By the way, money printing, not just money printing. I mean, you can say that the Inflation Reduction Act was too much money. I think that clearly exacerbated things. But you could also look at the money printing that went on during the Trump administration as well, and the lag effect of that Biden was dealing with.
But look, if that's true, if there was going to be a lagged effect from all that spending, why in the world would Joe Biden come in and spend $5 trillion on top of that? I kind of agree with you. I think we spent way too much money on COVID. And then Biden puts in $5 trillion, which had nothing to do with COVID. But, you know, you raised the point about the corporate tax.
Right.
And you're exactly right. The reason I want to like coming on your show is you're talking to investors around the country. This is why would any investor vote for Kamala Harris when she wants to double the capital gains tax unrealized capital gains, raise the corporate tax, which just dilutes the value of your shares, right? Because the government takes 1/3 of the value of your shares away from you. This isn't my number. This is the New York Times number. This is a $4.5 trillion tax increase on American businesses and American shareholders. I've lived through Walter Mondale, Michael Dukakis, Hillary Clinton. She is by far the most aggressively anti-business, anti-investor candidate we've ever seen in American history.
I mean, you said this 4 years ago on Joe Biden stuff. We created. May I finish?
Yeah,
16. Are you going to let me finish?
Yeah,
or are we just going to? Are we going to dance? No. 16 million jobs created. Donald Trump lost jobs.
Jobs were just comeback.
Andrew,
okay, but hold on. So here's the thing:
right,
if we're going to play the comeback game, I'm not against the comeback game. I actually think that also is a mix. Not that you're mischaracterizing, but then you have. Then, if you're going to say the comeback thing is real and you want that included in that, then you can't sit around and say, well, look at what happened over the last 3 years, and COVID didn't matter.
So he's been peddling this garbage for a very long time. When I was the Senate Chief of Staff to the Finance Committee, he came to the Hill and said, well, we're going to cut all these taxes, and George Bush is going to do all this, and we're not going to increase the debt and deficit. We had the largest increase in debt and deficit under his plan. We're going to continue. You saw this all over the place with Donald Trump. Why people should support Kamala Harris over Donald Trump, who are investors? Because we just saw if you invest in the economy, if you invest in jobs, if you invest in education, you get job growth. That is the experience under the last 5 presidents of Democrats versus Republicans. You can't argue anything other than that. You can argue all your comeback stuff. Yeah. Your plans don't work, and they haven't worked repeatedly.